I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time.
Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and I get the privilege of introducing you to extraordinary women. Women that have stepped into their power, women that are making a difference on the planet, women that are way showers because they're not, they're not just the example. What they're telling you is that they're a model and that you too can bring your power, bring your light, bring your love, and bring your gifts to the planet. And so I'm so excited that I get to do that. We do these every week. You get to meet a new woman. We're on all the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Amazon, video on YouTube. And what I'd like you to do is come and meet these women, learn from them, use their gifts and their tools, and then step into your own power. So you can also go to cynthiajames.net. I have a lot of resources there and love to support you and have you in my newsletter. So my guest today is someone new to me, and I'm very excited to introduce you to her. Her name is Elen Sentier, and this is what her bio says, a quirky wilderness woman who is deeply connected with nature. She comes from a long family lineage of cunning folk and was brought up as Awenit, which is spirit keeper. And it's the old magical traditions of Britain. We will be talking about that. She is a qualified transpersonal psychotherapist, and she helps clients become their true selves, rewild their hearts, and find what makes the heart sing. She also has taught her work through an apprenticeship and 3-year advanced course for over 30 years. She lives in the Welsh March with her husband. Elen, welcome. I am so glad you're here.
Hello, Cynthia, and hello, everybody. I am so pleased to be here. It is wonderful to be talking to you, and thank you for that introduction.
Well, it's just exciting to know what you're doing, but I want to start with where you were born. How did you grow up?
Whoa, well, I was born in Britain, Great Britain, now, if you look at the map, it's the bottom left-hand corner.
Okay.
I think that's easier than trying to... I like it when somebody says, get the map of America and it's over on the left and down by the wiggly bit. And I can find my way around then. So yeah, it's in the county of Devon, and on one of the two moors there on Dartmoor. I was born on Dartmoor and I grew up on Exmoor, and they're really lovely ancient wild places. And Dartmoor was very volcanic, and Exmoor's even older, and it has it's made on the oldest rock on the planet.
Wow. And was it a big family?
No, I have 3 half brothers, so it was a bit of a spread out family, if you see what I mean, because Dad and his first wife split up, and she had my 3 brothers, and then he got off with my mum, and they had me, and then my mum died, unfortunately, when I was about 3.5, and I didn't have anybody, I didn't have any mum or anything. We lived with aunts and things around. And then he met my stepmother when we moved on to Exmoor, and they fell in love. And so, Dad had a good innings with 3 beautiful women. They were all lovely. I remember his first wife, when my mum died, his first wife actually took us in.
Oh,
It was that lovely. Not that she and Dad wanted to get back together again, but she was that kind of really lovely, helpful woman.
Oh, how beautiful. And that's our nature, isn't it? It's our nature. Our true nature is loving and nurturing and caring. I love that. Okay, so from this childhood, how did you get into, transpersonal work and your love of nature and bringing the two together?
Well, I called her Aunt Mary. That's my dad's first wife. And when Mum died, as I said, we went down to the south edge of Dartmoor to live with her for a while. Her family were farming family, and they were all very, very connected with nature. And farming was quite a lot different to what we know it now. It's just, you didn't talk about being an organic farmer. There wasn't anything else unless you were some rich bloke who could buy stuff from, some petrol company or something. It wasn't there. So that was natural. One of my uncles was a woodsman, and another uncle later on was a gardener. So I got really into that because you were going out in the woods, and Uncle Jack said, come down the woods with me today. I'm looking at these trees, and we've got to go and check out this deer and this herd and see how that badger set's going. And so it was just part of life, part of normal. And I kept all of that. And
Right.
wherever I was, when we moved up to Exmoor again, I got a pony pretty quickly. And in those days, it was normal and safe that your kids could go out.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dad and uncles had taught me camping. They taught me how to light a campfire, how to put up a bivvy. I was about 8 or 9. And I could do all that, and I could ride my pony. So I would disappear for a couple of days.
Really? By yourself? And so there was never a part of you that was afraid in nature. It felt like home.
Yeah. I was more afraid of people. People could be very difficult. And because of, my uncle Jack, the woodsman, I mean, he was the real wizard, proper one. One of the things he would do is take me out, stand in the middle of the field, put his arm right up with a fist like that. And within a minute, a wild hawk would have come down on his fist.
Wow.
And at, 3 or 4 or 8 years old, I thought everybody's uncle. Everybody had an uncle. You do, don't you? If the rest of your family all think it's very normal, and the rest of the people around think it's normal, you think it's normal. But Dad said, no, you don't talk about Uncle Jack when you go to school. You remember, you don't talk about Uncle Jack when you go to school. Just don't talk about that, okay?
But that's interesting. So
that is there.
Well, you're introduced to a mystical being at a very young age, living on ancient land. And so did you then go to school? What interested you in psychotherapy?
Well, went to school, went to university, did my first degree in dance, drama and art, actually, which was in the 60s. So I was a complete full-blown hippie and all of that stuff. And there's the form of dance that I did involved, it's a thing called the Laban technique, and it's a form of psychology and looking at body language, and it fascinated me. And then I went on and did something completely different. And 20 odd years, I was working as a senior finance officer and a software designer and all this sort of thing. And then I got rheumatoid arthritis. The only bits you can see, but it's everywhere. And I couldn't move. And of course, couldn't work. Couldn't go to a job. I mean, we didn't have it like now where you could work from home. No such thing as a laptop in those days. And so that job was gone. And I had to do something else. And various accidents, I don't really believe in accidents, but happened. And a friend took me to this lecture where this bloke was talking about all sorts of mystical things and psychology and all this sort of thing. And you know how you get one of those moments when you think, I've got to do that. And so, I mean, you could have been reading the telephone directory. I can't remember a word he said, but at the end of it, it was like rushing up. I've got. Well, how do I sign on? Where is it? You know. And so I signed on and did the 3-year psychotherapy training degree with him and other people, because the more I got into it, the more it was so like the old witchy ways I was brought up in, but it was talking about them in a different way, so that you could tell people how to journey. I mean, Jung calls it active imagination, but it's journeying. Mind you, knowing more about Jung now, that makes sense to me. But all of the stuff you did it. You went into feelings. You worked with your feelings. You didn't just use your head, and you understood that you had gut instincts and that they worked, and that if you followed them, even if it made no sense at all, you usually found out you came out all right. And your intuition was there. Now, that's something we women have very strongly. The poor wretched men, I do feel sorry for them. They seem to get it squashed out of them much more. And a lot of dads aren't very good at, mine was good, but a lot of dads aren't very good at helping their boy to, you know, go and play soccer or something. You know, don't read books and don't go out looking at nature and getting into butterflies or something. You know, that's not mine. Right. But we women do it. So it just spun. And I found a way of helping people with the old ways that I was brought up in through psychotherapy, which then I developed into coaching and teaching, so that they can have this chance.
Well, I love that you're doing that. I mean, I do mind body work too, and what's called emotional integration. But I think that what is happening on the planet is that, because I also am a singer and an actress and a dancer, so it doesn't surprise me that you took that in school. But I think that there's an emergence of women on the planet who are doing this work in varying different degrees to help awaken the planet. And so when you graduated, how did you start your business, and did you know what you were doing?
Do any of us ever know what we're doing when we start something? You think you do. I didn't know what I know now. I did know that people needed to know this, and I knew that without being able to explain why. And when I started doing this, the planet's problems and climate change and global warming were only just becoming well known. My family had known about things like that for ages, but that's because of their interests. But generally, people sort of said, "What's this global warming rubbish?" Then, you know, in the early 90s, it was like, what? And I didn't realize the importance of this work in helping people to actually change their lives so that we work with our planet instead of trying to control her all the time. I mean, she's a big lady and she's 4.5 billion years old. I think she's got a few ideas in her head. I think she knows a few more things than us.
You think?
Oh, well, you know. So I think it's important that we get in touch. If all you can do is look after some plants in your house, really get in with them because they're fascinating.
Yes. And they communicate and they make music, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Could you explain to me what is rewilding your heart?
Well, probably with difficulty, because I think your heart's pretty wild before you start, isn't it?
That's true.
Okay. You said just now, you know, you weren't scared of nature. No, I'm not. And I think we need to get people to be able to go out in nature, not be frightened. That's just a moth. This is a bee. Bees don't necessarily hurt you. Don't attack them, because anything that attacks anything usually gets it back again. Be friendly with them, realize what they're doing, look what they're doing. Go, you've got a problem. Well, don't necessarily take it to a friend. Go and sit under a tree, lean your back against the tree, lean your head against the tree and say, oh, oak tree, I'm sorry, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. You got any ideas? And then just dream.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be surprised what you dream and how the answers will come. And we don't realize we can do that.
Right. There's a place in Italy called Damanhur, and they have this place called Sacred Woods, and they take people out and have them learn to communicate with trees. I mean, it's really beautiful. And so in your working with people, in your, psychotherapy business, I mean, how do you blend that with nature?
If possible, I get them to go out. I used to be able to, it was all one-to-one and you saw people in person usually and that sort of thing until 3, 4, 5 years ago. And then that was relatively easy, but everybody's got somewhere they can go out into. Their own little garden, the local park, maybe they can take the car out on the weekend and go somewhere different. And I'm not there physically with them. I could be there on the phone, but I don't really want them to do that. So we go through something in the session. I say, do this, do that, and go out and just sit by this tree, as I said, or by a stream or whatever it is. Do this little exercise, which usually involves breath work because breathing is so good for all of this. And then, make some little doodly notes, little drawings and ideas and jot words down. And then next session, now what happened? And when you start with clients, I'm sure you know this, they sort of say, well, nothing much happened really. And so you say, well, just let's go through it, So you went to the stream and you sat down and then this kingfisher was there and it was bouncing around. And then so I sat down, I put my toes in the water, and there was little baby fishes came and looked at my toes. Yeah, nothing happened, did it? No, nothing at all, really. Because that's the other part of it. We don't, unless you get sort of Steven Spielberg special effects come on your journey,
Right.
It does occasionally happen, but we don't notice something small, like a kingfisher flashing past. This is a hawk calling overhead. Just the drops of water, go out in the rain and you just put your face up and let the water fall on your face and feel that.
Yes, so beautiful. So, Ellen, when you got the rheumatoid arthritis, you actually moved into Reinvention.
Yes.
Tell me why you think reinvention is important.
Well, you know how it is when you've got this old jumper that you love very, very much, but it's all over holes and it's falling apart and the moths have eaten it. And you had great times in it and you can remember them. But actually, it's way time it went to being composted. Your life's like that. You've done that. You've been there. You got the T-shirt, licked the stamp, all the stuff. Now, there's more out there. We haven't got to keep doing the same. We can get bigger and grow. And our memories stay with us. And all that we learn stays with us. But now, I used to be a software designer. Fine, lovely. Also used to dance for Arlene Phillips. Fine, lovely. I can't do that now. But I've got the memories. But now, I never used to do podcasts with people way across the ocean. I never was able to speak to people. I got friends in Mexico and Peru and, California and Bangkok and everywhere. I never could do that. I couldn't work with them. This is a whole new thing. So please, ladies, reinvention is fun. It hurts at first. It hurts. And, you're grieving what you had and it's gone. And you got to grieve. And that's good. And then, way.
Something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is British native shamanism?
When or what?
Well, it says best-selling author of British native shamanism. So
Well,
you wrote about that. What is it?
I've written 12 books on that.
Wow.
And it's about the old ways that I was brought up in.
Mm.
How we looked at and worked with trees, how we had them names, what meanings they had that came through to us, how to work with them. Old ways of working with the deer, working with footpaths and streams, working with nature. So it's about all of those things, and about deeper practices where you really make connections, where you can actually know things are going to happen and you really work with your intuition well. All of those things. But it's in small books that are enough for people to start with.
Yes.
Because it can be too much if you give it all at once. But it's been going on. I mean, there are the latest cave art that they've found, which relates to deer and the goddess and all that, they found in the western corner of Wales, and it's about 14,000 years old.
Wow. Wow.
So we've been at it, and that's only the latest that they've found. We don't know what else anybody's going to find.
Yes.
It's probably been going on as long as there've been human beings, like shamanism everywhere.
Yes. That is so beautiful. Tell me how people find you.
Well, my name is about the best and easiest. If you put Elen Sentier into Google, you will get quite a lot up. My website is just www.elensentier.com. I'm always available on LinkedIn. And again, I'm just Elen Sentier. I'm always available on Facebook. And I'm Elen Sentier or Elen Sentier Wise Woman on that. And I've got links where you can book a call with me, email if you want to use it. But the website's got all of this. So there you go.
Beautiful. So, ladies,
I love talking to people, so please call me.
Oh, okay. So please explore her work. I mean, you can hear already the passion and the wisdom that lives within her. So, Ellen, I ask the same last question of every guest. This show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
Awakening to your real self, being that badass woman inside who says, no, I'm not buying that. And yes, why don't we do this? And we need loads of them. We need the whole planet full. So please wake that up. And Cynthia can help you. I can help you. Loads of women can help you. So you don't even have to do it on your own.
That is incredible. Thank you, Ellen. And thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cynthia.
So, ladies, I'm going to say the same thing I say to you every week in a different way. I loved what Ellen just said. Wake up. Wake up your brilliance. Wake up your light. Wake up your creativity. Wake up that voice within you that demands to be heard. Wake up that shine within you that wants to be seen. You are here for a purpose. You are here for a reason. Your awakening is essential. Otherwise, you would not be here on this planet. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time and energy, and I will see you next week.